Oh, hello, and welcome to me, Remy Conley, and my friend and esteemed colleague Gavin Fitzgerald's film review for 2013.
How's it going, Remy?
Oh, Gavin, how are you?
How's it going?
Good. So, Gavin, do you want to start off by telling us about your favourite films for the year?
Yes, well, I want to get this straight now. It's not exactly our favourite films for the year, but
That's
rather,
correct.
it's a collection of films that we haven't reviewed on the blog yet.
That's right. Yes.
And which we all think that you should see.
Yeah.
The first one for me is Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
It was for me one of the comedies of the year. It's a seriously funny film. It's about Johnny Knoxville, who plays an older man of about 70, and he does all the things that Johnny Knoxville would do. And he hangs out with this little kid, and they just go around causing trouble. And has a simple story. The characters really grow on you.
Yeah.
And it's funny throughout. It's a simple, funny story. It's just one of those ones that has to be on my list.
One of the films I really enjoyed this year was The Hunt, which is a Danish-Swedish produced film with Mads Mikkelsen. Some of you might remember him from Casino Royale, and more recently he's in NBC's TV series Hannibal. And The Hunt is basically about Mads Mikkelsen's a teacher in a kindergarten out in a rural village, and he's going through a rough time, separation from his wife. His kid is living with his wife elsewhere, but he manages to meet a new lady, and love comes back into his life, and things are looking up. But a innocuous little lie from one of the children in the kindergarten makes Mad's character's Lucas' life fall apart pretty drastically. So the thing I liked about the film was that it shows how a kind of mob mentality can occur from a very basic, simple lie can turn an innocent man's life upside down,
and show how lies come about as well, misinterpretation.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The next film, I'm just trying to get a mixture of different things that some people may not like one genre, and other people might like another.
Yeah.
World War Z for me was a kick-ass film. It was, if you like any zombie films, particularly 28 Days Later, then you'll love World War Z. It's just fast paced, it's moving, it's fun, it's just like the visual effects are brilliant. It kind of goes through the stages of a zombie film, but it does it at a nice pace, and it just avoids any of the kind of 2,000 zombies walking into a wall. Instead, it's just like, you go out, you're going to get slammed by 50 heads coming at you, flying at you. And that's what makes it great. Like, and it's hold your breath, because the soundtrack's great. It's really well edited.
Yeah.
It's really well pieced together. Even from the opening titles, you're going to love it. It's one of those ones that went under the radar.
Yeah.
People I don't know, for some reason some critics didn't like it.
Yeah.
I could not like it.
No.
What's your next one, Remy?
My next one is probably one I really liked, actually. Watched recently was The Way Back, which has there's a young actor in it, Liam James. He plays this 14-year-old who is going on vacation, as they say in America, with his mother, who's played by Toni Collette from Muriel's Wedding, and her boyfriend Steve Carell. And it's a kind of it is a coming of age kind of film where the young main character is finding his feet, and he's quiet and shy, but he's an intelligent kid as well, and he kind of falls under the he has a difficult time with Steve Carell as his dad. His stepdad, he doesn't have a lot of time for him. He's a bit
Steve Carell from The Office.
The American Office, and 40-Year-Old Virgin. But he gives him a hard time, doesn't treat him as well as his own kids who are also on the holiday. But so he kind of falls under the wing of Sam Rockwell, who plays this local water park employee who is basically a big kid who never grew up, but he I suppose he gives the young guy a lot of advice, life advice, but at the same time he's probably should be taking some of that advice himself. So it's a nice story, but it's definitely worth a watch. I'd highly recommend it.
So next on my list is a documentary called Black Fish. The black fish is revealed to be a killer whale. Pretty early on in the documentary. Basically, it's about SeaWorld and how a corporation like that can be so incredibly evil.
Yeah.
That on the outside seems like such a family activity to go see a bunch of whales.
Disney World or something.
Exactly, seeing a bunch of whales jumping around seems like fun, jumping through hoops. But as it turns out, like those whales are so unhappy.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. Even though it looks like they're smiling.
Yeah, even though it looks like they're smiling, that's just like
yeah.
their curse.
Yeah.
So they're basically, the staff are treated terribly. From the beginning to the end of the film, you'll just be like, what?
Yeah.
They do that. And it's just one of those films that you can't stop thinking of after.
Shocking.
Yeah, it really is shocking.
Yeah.
And you just want to go out and save the whales, but I don't know.
It's got others
There's no
to
hope
do.
for them.
It's a bit busy. Too busy.
Too busy.
Yeah. So. Yeah. This is the end. Pretty. Obviously, got a lot of publicity. Well advertised. And big cast. You have a kind of crew of regular comic actors, like you've got Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, James Franco, Danny McBride, and basically the story is the actors are themselves basically. So
they're all mates in real life.
They're all mates in real life. So the film starts off with two of them heading along to James Franco's massive plush pad in Hollywood for a New Year's Eve party, and it's pretty standard, well, probably stereotypical stuff, like lots of drugs, all sorts of mad carry on, people getting drunk and whatever. And then lo and behold, the apocalypse happens. Outside everything's falling apart, and there's fires everywhere, and you see the Hollywood sign collapsing, all this kind of thing. And it's just about how the main characters, they kind of lock themselves into James Franco's house, and it's how they deal with what's going on outside. So I was a bit reluctant, to be honest with you, to watch it, because I'm not a big fan of Seth Rogen. I didn't really like Pineapple Express, but I do like Jonah Hill, and I think Danny McBride is great. He comes into it a little later on, like maybe in half an hour into the film, and I think he really lifts it up to another level. And
I think most of their films work better with weed.
It's very true, yeah. And
without it, they aren't as funny.
No, they're not. And
but with it, they just suddenly are funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's something in there. There must be some kind
something in the drug.
something in the weeds that makes.
Yeah. Makes you laugh.
Yeah. Yes. But no, I actually ended up really enjoying it, and it has a lot of good set pieces, one-liners. But the thing I kind of liked about it the most is some of the scenes are very, very off the wall, and you're kind of going, this is really weird, but it works as well, so it's a good film. I liked it, I'd recommend it.
I envy them being able to just make a
film about themselves.
Themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that.
Maybe we should.
Maybe we're doing it now. So next on my list is an Irish film, which for me was the Irish film of the year, called Pilgrim Hill. It was actually made by a very young, he's only about 25, director. His name's Gerard Barrett, and it's a film set in rural Kerry, and it's about a farmer who is struggling to make ends meet. Basically, all these new laws coming in they're obviously being set by like a council somewhere in Kerry or Dublin, and all these rules are coming in and destroying his welfare. They're trying to take away his cattle and all these regulations and stuff there. And he's been on the farm for years, and you just really feel for Jimmy. He's a great character. It was made by a crew of only about 5 people, a cast of about 3 or 4. It was a really low budget. It was made like $5,000, and the story holds itself completely. It's a really, really powerful film.
Yeah.
Something about it that just makes you. It's familiar, but also just. I don't know, significant or something. It really was a really, really, really good touching film.
And does he I haven't seen it now, but I gather from, like, I remember seeing trailers. You kind of slip into depression and stuff, or
Yeah, I think he kind of starts off depressed
yeah,
and ends up depressed. It wouldn't cheer you up on a Sunday, but it's but he kind of finds solace in his cows as he milks them, the machines, the sounds of the milk, and he kind of pets them slowly, and you're just kind of thinking like he has a connection to the animal. And then the worst thing they say for a farmer is when your animals are taken away from you. And that the story kind of starts leading that way. So it's it's one definitely to be checked out, and I think I heard Jared Barrett's doing another feature now, and he's one to watch the future since he's so young.
My next film now will be Mud with Matthew McConaughey, and I have to say, I think Matthew McConaughey he's really kind of coming into his own as a serious actor over the last while. Like, he had films like Killer Joe, which was really, really good. But I think earlier in his career, he had Sahara and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and the heartthrob image, and I think that probably put a lot of guys off kind of going to watch a Matthew McConaughey film. But he's definitely kind of.
He keeps his shirt off, but he still manages to do it.
It does, yeah. Well, and I don't feel like
threatened by that,
threatened or intimidated, because I'm like, this isn't Sahara Matthew in a speedboat with the pecs showing, and
they just light his pecs differently.
They do, that's what it is. It
works well.
And his hair is not looking great because he's living on an island, and he's in the woods. He's on the run from these bounty hunters. And he's hiding out there, and then there's two young kids in it who are actually really, really good actors. They head out to the island because they've heard a rumour that there's a speedboat that's out in the island, and they want to fix it up for themselves. And then basically they come across Matthew McConaughey's character, who his name is Mud, as the film title, and they basically befriend each other. He helps them out with getting the parts for the speedboat in exchange for them going back to the mainland and bringing him food and supplies and stuff like this. So I suppose the thing I kind of liked about it was the whole way through the film you're wondering, like, are the kids, is it a genuine relationship, or is it where the kids are just really naive and he's just using them basically to get out of the bind he's in. But it's kind of like, it's a little bit of a dark kind of comedy in a way, like there's a good bit of humour in it, but it has a kind of dark edge as well.
It's got a bit of everything, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I would have called it a coming of age film, but in a kind of weird way.
Yeah, it kind of starts out a bit like Stand By Me kind of thing, and then it changes as it goes on. And there's also Michael Shannon's in it for I'd almost forgotten that he was in it. He's like one of the kids' kind of deadbeat dad, so he's really good, and I enjoyed that.
So my last one is Side Effects by Steven Soderbergh, who's just, every film he makes just has this amazing pace to it. It's just he just knows how to make a film at this stage. He's just so good at it. Contagion he released the year before, and then they released this one, and it was like as if it felt as if it was in the same genre. I was like, oh, is he making another kind of medical based thriller? Like, what's going on? But it was just the way they marketed it. They started going online, and they created this website for the drug. I think it was I can't remember the name of the drug. It was called like I don't know. We'll call it actually, I'm not going to call it any drug. I'm just going to. I can't remember the name of the drug, but wherever they created a whole website for it, and they started telling you the side effects of it and what this could do, and they started marketing it as like a real drug. And then you're kind of like, what's going on? And like Jude Law was a doctor and all, and it was all kind of weird. And then the film happened, and it kind of wasn't about that. But it was still just a really good thriller that made you think, and it just kind of made it had so many turns and twists. You're thinking one way, and then it goes the other. And I just really kept up that intensity, that really quick editing, just that real smooth flow of a story that Soderbergh's really known for, and it was a kick-ass thriller.
And it had a lot of kind of it really kept you guessing a lot, kind of right up to the end. You were you weren't sure who the kind of the bad
Yeah,
evil individual
it was a serious game of Cluedo.
Yeah, my last one is it was actually one I saw there last week. 12 Years a Slave. It's in the cinemas at the moment. Tipped for, I'd say, a lot of Oscars, but I mean, what's that mean anymore? I mean, the Oscars are ridiculous, you know.
Until you get one, then it's like,
yeah,
they
you
mean
start
everything.
taking it seriously again. But yeah, no, it was. I have to say, it was a very tough kind of film to watch. It was, there was some pretty brutal scenes, and the backdrop is. The character Solomon Northrop, I think is his name, and he is basically, it's set in the mid 1800s, and he is a free man, which means that he, used to be a slave, but so he's living in New York where slavery is more or less is completely non-existent, and he gets captured, he gets kidnapped and sent down to the south of the southern states in America, where slavery is still very much alive and well, and he basically, as the title suggests, ends up stuck there for 12 years, and it's very very good. Steve McQueen is the director, not the guy from Bullet. It's the director. He did Hunger and what was that other family friendly film? Shame. Yeah, it's a good one for the kids.
Yeah.
With a party or something, loads of the children.
Yeah.
And the thing I liked about it a lot was, they had what the director did was a lot of scenes where there was something pretty brutal being carried out, but you weren't right up at it as it was happening. You were far off in the distance, and you could kind of see it from very far away, and it kind of made you feel like you were observing it, and that you're actually there, rather than just watching it unfold in the film. So I thought that I'd never really seen that done. I thought it was really good. And also, he had really good use of music, where, you could certain scenes, he would just use instrumental music, but you could tell after a few seconds of it, like, what kind of scene was coming up, but you were almost braced for something terrible, or he might lead you to think something terrible is happening, and then it's not actually that bad.
Yeah.
But it was, good cast. Michael Fassbender's in it. Paul.
It's not out in cinema yet, is it?
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Paul Dano is in it, and a little brief bit of Brad Pitt and Benedict Cumberbatch, who you might know from, is it Sherlock Holmes or Doctor Who?
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes, yeah. And and the main character, I can't pronounce his name. It's really bad. I can't even.
Woggledy
Something like that. Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna make a stab at pronouncing it. Let me see. Chiwetel Ejiofor. So kind of rolls off the tongue. But if you've seen the TV series Roots, with Toby and Kunta Kinte and all those lads, that's it's pretty. The Roots series, I think, from the 80s was like a pretty epic kind of look over the history of slavery in America. But this is definitely up another level, and highlights a kind of shameful part of America's past, but we promised we wouldn't get political, so in this review, so
Promise.
I'll leave it at that. But it definitely, I think is actually probably one of the best films I saw in 2013. So
well, it's a big statement.
it is. It's a bold statement.
It's bold, but it's pretty said it.
Yeah, there you go.
You said it here first.
Yeah. So the only other thing I can think of off the top of my head, and I'm putting Gavin on the spot.
Oh.
You might be surprised that this isn't pre-scripted. You're probably thinking we just made this up on the spot. Yeah, can you think of what your biggest disappointment of the year was? What film you thought you were going to really enjoy? You went to the cinema and you went.
Disappointments,
Shite.
you know, I do get disappointed a lot. I try not to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard.
because sometimes it's hard to make films, and
Yeah.
sometimes for all sorts of reasons they could just go wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a good few, but I just tend not to remember them. So
Yeah.
off the cuff, like, it's hard to remember. I mean, you know, The Hobbit could have been a little shorter.
Yeah.
But you know what? I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think myself, the one that I was kind of...
Legolas could have had a little less lines.
Yeah. You know, pensive looks up to the clouds and big birds coming at him and dragons and shit. I think mine might have been Ain't Them Body Saints with Casey Affleck and I think it's Maria Bello. I was really looking forward to it. A big fan of Casey Affleck. I think he's great. And yeah, just jeez, it was really, really boring. You know, it was really, really boring. Like, so, and I you know, I'd be the same as you. I'm not overly picky. You know, when I'm watching a film, I'm kind of, you know, just go with it and watch it through to the end. But yeah, that was pretty tough going. Bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Other than that, it's been a good year.
Yeah, it has been good.
It's been a very good year for films.
And there's a lot. Looks like there's a lot of new ones coming out now. January, February. That should be good as well. So. Yeah,
so 2014 will be big.
Big year.
It's a huge year all around the board, really.
Yeah.
From every perspective, really.
It really is, yeah.
Just like any other year, but you know, a bit bigger because it's this year.
Yeah, it's more futuristic. I mean, did we ever think we'd make it this far?
No, it's totally apes by now or something.
2014. It's like, watch out for Caesar. He's coming to get us. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much us, isn't it? That's I hope you've
me anyway.
Enjoyed our 5 alternative recommendations each, and that you check them out, and we'll be back again. Don't you worry, we'll be back.